Hello and welcome to the news. Now we take the headlines. The Global Action Plan firmed up to transform educational systems in up to 90 countries and territories.
Kisej has been approved by Parliament as special prosecutor.
And Japan extends a state of emergency in Tokyo and expands it to new regions as the Olympic Games host faces a surge in COVID-19 cases. Now the news headlines were sponsored by Munchy Biscuits. Munch into happiness. My name is Jonathan Thompson.
And I am Samuela Kwote. Robert Rimpomanto will translate the news into sign language.
And of course, the local segment is brought to you by GRA. Our taxes, our future. And now the details. $4 billion was raised at the just-ended Global Education Summit in London. Now, President Akufo-Addo was at the head of Ghana's representation at the summit. The focus was to plan to transform education systems in up to 90 countries and territories across the globe.
In a panel discussion with some African leaders, President Akufo-Addo said a largely educated population is an effective tool to bring about economic transformation for countries in Africa to tell a better story.
It was a key moment for the global community to congregate to support quality education for all children. The core of the summit was the opportunity for leaders to make 5-year pledges to support the summit's work. The idea is to pool recommendations to help transform education system in up to 90 countries and territories. The Raise Your Hand financing campaign aims to raise at least $5 billion over 5 years to support education systems in up to 90 countries and territories and where 80% of the world's out-of-school children live. The initiative is expected to enable 175 billion girls and boys to learn, reach 140 million students with professionally trained teachers, get 88 million more children, including 46 million more girls, in school, and save $16 billion through more efficient education spending.
What is our goal? And I think it is the goal of all of us on the continent. The transformation of our economies from raw material producing economies to value added economies.
Right.
We move away from being just providers of natural resources to value added economies.
Right.
But that is not going to be possible if we don't have educated workforce.
Yep.
So it is linked, and it therefore requires that the investments that we have to make for ensuring that not just as many, but all our children have the opportunity to go to school right from kindergarten through primary to secondary through tertiary education is guaranteed.
President Akufo-Addo said education is the surest way to secure future economies of all countries in Africa.
Until recently, if you wanted to get a student loan in Ghana, you had to find a guarantor. Somebody who would come and say, you would get. We've removed the guarantor requirement. If you have the Ghana National Card, you can now go on the basis of that and get the loan, which is also going to mean a significant expansion of education at the tertiary level.
Yes.
These steps are steps that are absolutely critical for our future.
Right.
We don't do it, we will not be able to make any kind of a fist at getting to our basic goal, which is the structural transformation of our economy.
The meeting was a convergence of global community in support of quality education for all children.
At the end of a three-day Ecowas Parliament Joint Committee meeting at Winneba in the Central Region, members of the committee resolved that the growing threats and risks facing global cyberspace and digital networks, information systems and data in West Africa will be effectively secured. The Speaker of the Ecowas Parliament, Dr. Sidi Mohamed Tunis, described the delocalized meeting as very successful and said a secured telecommunication and information technology space is a key factor in promoting development in the sub-region.
Resource persons and experts within the ECOWAS Parliament deliberated on finding workable solutions to the problems of telephone roaming, peace and security, and human rights for shared progress in the West African sub-region. The Joint Committee on Political Affairs, Peace, Security and the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Telecommunications and Information Technology steered the meeting. They also discussed the opportunities as well as risks associated with insecure use of information and communication technologies. The Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Dr. Sidi Mohamed Tunis, assured that the ECOWAS Parliament is working with all key players in the sector to keep these global threats away from the region.
I am glad to observe that the deliberations that followed were very enriching. These threats and risks are part and parcel of development, and we as a parliament need to ensure that we support national cyber security and anti-cybercrime organizations, critical digital services and infrastructure, as well as regional mutual assistance and international cooperation. It is by doing so that we can take the quantum leap necessary for achieving our objectives.
The head of the Ghana delegation to the ECOWAS Parliament, Mr. Alexander Afenyumakin, said Ghana will host ECOWAS Parliament again in September this year. Rachel Quarty, GBC News, Winneba.
Now, members of parliament have approved the nomination of Mr. Kissie Jabin to the office of Ghana's special prosecutor. Mr. Jabin succeeds Mr. Martin Amidou, the first to occupy that office. The special prosecutor and his office are enjoined to prevent, investigate and prosecute corruption and related offences. Both sides express their confidence in the ability of Mr. Ijabin to hold the office independently.
The work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor is set out in the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959. The office came into being on the 3rd of January 2018 with the appointment of Mr. Martin Amidou as the first person to hold the office. The position of the Special Prosecutor is equal to that of a Justice of the High Court. It has the powers of a police officer specified in the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, Act 30, or any other enactment. Mr. Amidou resigned suddenly over claims of government interference in his work. The new special prosecutor, Mr. Kissie Jabin, has been in private legal practice for over 18 years. At his vetting process, he promised to make corruption costly to engage in. Both the majority and minority sides expressed confidence in the ability of Mr. Jabin to hold the office.
The committee has duly considered the nomination of His Excellency the President for the appointment of Special Prosecutor in line with Section 13(3) and 8 of the Special Prosecutor Act 2007, Act 959, and the standing orders of the Parliament, and recommends the nominee, Mr. Kissie Jabin, to the House for approval. Speaker, I thank you.
What we expect of him, without repeating myself, is for him to demonstrate political will, strong, without fear or favor, to deal ruthlessly with any person, including politically exposed person, to be able to contain corruption.
Though the law says Office of Special Prosecutor should be responsible for prosecuting cases of corruption and corruption-related offences, in certain cases, the Attorney General could could actually decide to prosecute cases of corruption and corruption-related matters. It is my prayer that when he assumes the office, he might come up with certain proposals for the consideration of all to determine how to properly delineate the roles so as to forestall the potential for conflict between the two offices.
We need to look at our laws to expand the frontiers for investigation and pursuing criminals. Other than that, we'll make the people charged with the responsibility blameless. Speaker, will reduce them to toothless.
Moving on, the Chief Justice, Justice Eninyeboah, has ordered the immediate transfer of the case involving a juvenile offender, Nicholas Kani and Felix Nyako, from the District Court, Kaswa, to the Kaneshie District Court for expeditious trial. Prosecuting Chief Inspector Ernest Agbo told the court presided over by Mr. Ohiniba Enchibwesiako that prosecution received the bill of indictment and summary of evidence from the Attorney General to commence the trial. However, an order signed by the Chief Justice has directed that the case be transferred to the District Court at Kaneshie for a speedy. The late Ishmael Abdullahi Mensah was allegedly murdered for ritual purposes by suspects by Nicholas Kani and Felix Nyako, both in their teens, on Saturday, April 3, 2021 at Ofako in Kaswa, after he was lured into an uncompleted building by one of the suspects, who is described as a friend to the deceased and his family. The suspects have been on remand since their last arrest in April. Meanwhile, the defense lawyer, who in previous hearings failed to secure bail for the suspects, says he will go to the High Court to apply for bail.
The General Legal Counsel Disciplinary Committee has leveled charges of misconduct against the lawyer who mentioned the Chief Justice in an alleged $5 million bribe to sway a decision of the Supreme Court in a case before it. Mr. Kwesi Afrifa faces 9 counts, including the failure to disclose the allegation of bribery against the Chief Justice, failing to issue receipts to his client following payment of legal fees, facilitating the commission of the alleged bribe by refunding fees he was legally paid, and making a reckless statement against the Chief Justice. The disciplinary proceedings against the embattled lawyer commenced after his client, Ojiadom Obranu Kwesi Atta VI, petitioned the General Legal Counsel to retrieve $75,000 from him. The charges followed a preliminary inquiry held by the GLC that a case of prima facie of misconduct had been established against him. Ojiadom VI alleged that Mr. Afrifa had asked for $10,000 to secure a favorable court judgment in the case he was handling. The bribery allegations came to light in a response dated July 8, 2021, where Mr. Afrifa denied the claims by Ojiadom VI. He alleged that he was asked to refund $300,000 in legal fees to enable his client to raise a $5 million bribe to be paid to the Chief Justice to influence a verdict in a case pending before Supreme Court in his favor.
Now, away from judicial issues, the Ghana Police Service has organized a symbolic pull-out ceremony to signify the retirement of the immediate past Inspector General of Police, Mr. James Opombuenu. The formal farewell took place at the Police Training School in Accra.
Mr. James Opombuenu has served his nation in the police service for over 33 years. The past Inspector General of Police IGP started as a police officer on August 1, 1988, and has played roles including being a station officer, secretary to the Police Council, district commander, Director General for Human Resource, and a Deputy Commissioner of Police, the African Union Mission in Sudan, among others. When he bid his farewell at a pull-out ceremony in Accra, Mr. Opombweni said he is officially retiring as a regiment and prayed that Ghanaians give the incoming IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, the full support to discharge his duties in maintaining law and order in the country.
I am bound out today with pride and avowed conviction that this service is blessed with a number of hardworking and committed officers who are going to support the incoming IGP to successfully continue from where I left. It is in this vein that I want to urge all personnel of the Ghana Police Service and the good people of this country to give the necessary support to the incoming IGP and his administration to effectively discharge the core mandate of the police service to maintain law and order.
At the formal ceremony were the Minister for the Interior, Mr. Ambrose Derry, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Korte, Comptroller General of the Immigration Service, Mr. Kwame Suatichi, among others. Citations and gifts were presented to the retiring Inspector General of Police.
After that, we announce the public.
The Ministry of Roads and Highways, through the Ghana Highway Authority, wishes to inform the general public and all road users that owing to repair works to be undertaken on the damaged beam of the Ashaman Overpass Bridge, the Tamakra-bound stretch of the motorway will experience some minimum to maximum disruption to traffic flow from 1st August 2021 to 22nd August 2021.
Now, the influence areas are Accra-bound traffic from Ashaiman towards Accra. Motorists are kindly advised to follow the traffic diversion signs to be placed at designated sections of the motorway to facilitate free movement of traffic through the construction area. Now, the general public is hereby informed that Wednesday, 4th August 2021, which marks Founders' Day, is a statutory public holiday and should be observed as such throughout the country.
What's in a name? On GBC News.
Now, did you know that the original name of Zebilla, capital of the Boko West district, is Sabi? A literal translation is scanty rain, but later got corrupted to become Zebilla because non-indigens could not pronounce its original name. Zebilla is a known destination for a well-processed guinea fowl meat and watermelon production. From the Upper East region, correspondent Samuel Ayama has more.
Zebilla is the capital of the Boko West district in the Upper East region. The road was bad, and so it took about 2 hours from Bogatanga, the regional capital. But today, this same journey is covered in just about 30 minutes. A good welcome for anyone into the Zebilla town is the well-prepared guinea fowl meat. Zebilla is under the Kusak traditional area, hence the official language spoken there is Kusal. About 90% of residents in the township are Kusasis. Zebilla, which started with a nuclear settlement, is now one of the fastest developing towns in the Kusak traditional area and the Upper East region at large. Farming is the mainstay of the people in the area. A retired educationist and opinion leader of the area, Reverend Edward Abugi, said Zebilla was founded by two brothers, Abel and Apotop, who were both blacksmiths. The brothers from the western part of the Upper East region were manufacturers of bow and arrows, hoes, among others.
When Abel and Abu Tobo came around the area Zebilla, which is now Zebilla, they came when it was about to rain. So they picked leaves to cover themselves. But then, within a short time, the clouds withered away and there was no rain. So they said it is just Sabil. That scanty rain means Sabil. Sa means rain. Bil means small.
Reverend Abugid lauded the decision by government to establish a guinea fowl processing factory in the area as part of its One District, One Factory policy initiative. A guinea fowl meat seller at the Zebilla Customs Barrier, Madame Paulina Karim, appealed to government through the Boku West District Assembly to provide them with summer huts, toilet facilities, and potable water. Another guinea fowl meat seller, Priscilla Asimiga, said it is only in Zebilla that one can get well-prepared and processed guinea fowl meat.
Anytime you want meat, you come to Zebilla Barrier. If you want the smoke one, we'll smoke for you. Anything you want is we'll do for you.
One challenge in Zebilla is the lack of well-structured market center. Vegetables, cereals, and animal market centers in the Zebilla township have no decent sheds, sanitation facilities, and potable water. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Zebilla.
Concerns about increasing climate change risks has set governments around the world brainstorming to deal with the situation. The Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, has therefore tasked world leaders to make adjustments to the curricula from basic to tertiary to fashion out innovative ways of educating pupils and students about climate change issues. Dr. Duchum was addressing a ministerial conference on climate change and education in the United Kingdom.
Goal 13 of the Sustainable Development Goals calls for urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. It is linked to all 16 of the other goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent, with its devastating effects on weather patterns, sea levels, and weather events. As the fight against climate change continues, a roundtable conference on climate change organized by the Department of Education at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, UK, has been held on the sidelines of the Global Education Summit in London for stakeholders in education across the globe to share ideas on how to improve the development of education in the world. Issues that took center stage were how to whip up the interest of children and young people in climate change and the major threats that climate change poses to education. The Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Duchum, noted that Ghana has put in place measures to inculcate climate change into curriculum so that pupils and students could understand the issues and position themselves as they join to address the issue. He pledged the government's support to collaborate with agencies or institutions ready to recommend ideas and solutions to address climate change issues in the country and the rest of the world. The Global Education Summit will be a key moment for the global community to come together and support quality education for all children. High point of the summit will be the opportunity for leaders to make 5-year pledges to support global partnership for education's work to help transform education systems in up to 90 countries and territories. For GBC News, Ofeyiwa Dakon reports.
The Gambaga College of Education in the East Mamprisi municipality of the Northeast region is in dire need of infrastructure to improve on teaching and learning. At a ceremony to award diploma certificates in basic education to the 2018, 2019 and 2020 batch, authorities complained that they lacked adequate infrastructure, which is negatively affecting the school's performance and overall safety of students, teachers and administrators.
The infrastructure deficit in the school include inadequate lecture halls and student hostels, no office space for heads of departments and unit heads, no auditorium, resource center, science laboratory, accommodation for the college principal and staff, and a sick bay to cater for the health needs of students. This school, which was established in 2012, is still housed in an old basic school building. With internally generated funds, it has constructed 10-unit and 2-unit dormitory blocks being used as a hostel for both male and female students. The ongoing Get Fund projects, including an administration block, a hostel, model school block, and multi-purpose hall complex at the college's new site, have also been abandoned. At a graduation ceremony, the principal of the Gambaga College of Education, Mr. Karim Koranantoma, spoke about some other challenges of the school.
While we continue to upgrade our staff to meet the minimum faculty requirement for successful implementation of the Bachelor of Education program, the universities continue to purge the highly qualified staff like nobody's business.
The overall best graduating student for the 2020 batch, Mr. Ezekiel Agambire Awani, pleaded with the government to give attention to the infrastructure challenges of the college. The Northeast Regional Minister, Mr. Zakaria Yidana, pledged the government's commitment to do its best to bridge the infrastructure gap.
The government, in due course of time, will provide the necessary funding for the continuation of work on projects started at the new site of the college.
An appeal was made to government through the Ministry of Education to convert the Gambaga College of Education into a university to absorb more students who will graduate under the free SHS policy in the Northeast region.
For over 20 years, Ghana Television has served breakfast from Accra to all nooks and crannies and hamlets across the country and beyond. There's been an array of presenters over the period, handing over the baton from one to the other. Starting Monday, 2nd August 2021, another team walks onto the set live at 6 in the morning. It's a rebranded magazine with 3 new hosts, Kafuide, Thelma Taki and Valerie Danso. The 3 new hosts were introduced on the show on Friday morning with a brief teaser of what to expect when they get behind the wheel of the breakfast bus.
Are you ready? It's heat hot and we are serving you breakfast. A la carte.
It's a brand new packaged breakfast served on GTV, our style, keeping you on track and updated on
news making the headlines, how to navigate traffic,
what's up with the weather,
your health check, getting you up to speed on
lifestyle,
sports,
what are showbiz, what's hot and what's not.
It's our date in the morning just for you, with the team you can trust.
It's breakfast weekdays at 6 a.m.
Don't be late.
What do viewers expect from you? It's the branded BFS.
Yes.
What do viewers expect from you? Let me start from you, Valerie.
Right, so I'm in charge of making everybody happy. I'm in charge of relaxing the atmosphere. After Kafui and Thelma have grilled our guests and our newspaper reviews, I'm going to give you like amazing health tips.
She's the candy.
Fashion tips, lifestyle, maybe a little, we'll mix it up with a little relationship issues. Basically, we'll have fun and it will be interactive. Kafui and Thelma.
I'm the link between what happens in the studio and what the audience out there
say about what happens in the studio.
Right, okay.
So I'm monitoring all the social media trends, making sure that our hashtag GTV breakfast, hashtag GTV breakfast. So I'll be monitoring all that on the social media platforms. If you haven't joined or you haven't followed GBC already, follow GBC on all our social media handles. We'll be making them very, very popular very soon. You do not want to be caught off that train. So get on board, follow all our social media handles. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All those information will be made available to you. And your comments are welcome feedback for us. The nation listens to our voice, and we are the voice of the nation. So if you have anything to say, where better can you say it than to say it on GTV?
So, moving to my stream left, King Calf.
Me.
What's our role?
I'm looking forward to overthrowing you. That seat is mine.
Oh, fine.
That seat is mine. Well, I'm excited. Hashtag GTV breakfast. That's the hashtag that we need to follow across social media. And I'll be asking questions.
Okay. Great.
I'm a questioner or an interviewer. And so.
Breakfast is served. How do you see the new breakfast show?
I tell you, it's going to be exciting, Jonathan.
Exciting indeed. It is going to be. You're live on GBC News. This is News Hour. We take a quick break.